Live for episode 93 of The Burrows. Alex Cora got dumped last night, so we're going to talk mostly about that. Jack Lydon joins us. As always, I'm Kevin Bunk, joined by Michael Merlo. Haven't done an episode in a couple of weeks, so we apologize for that, but you can check out Back to the Mets in the meantime. That's been the baseball focus. Mets are terrible, though, so we're here to talk about the only team that might be worse, the Red Sox today. Fired Alex Cora yesterday, had a terrible week, but won yesterday. Jack, I just want to know your immediate thoughts. What was your total unpacking of this situation last night?
Yeah, Kevin, it was certainly shocking to see. It seemed like Alex had built up this reputation in an organization that beloved him and employed him as a third baseman during a World Series year in 2007. But there was obvious dysfunction and a lack of communication between the front office and the manager's office and Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow, who did not hire Alex Cora. We know that GMs like to hire their managers. He did not do that. And he cans Alex Cora in year 2 of a 3-year extension and off to a 10-17 start, obviously not where the team should be. And you can put, I'm sure we'll talk about the blame pie at some point, but certainly shocking.
Mike, your thoughts last night when this dropped? You were the first person. You were the first person to text everyone on Earth that this happened. So
I texted everybody on Earth, every group chat. I was shocked personally. I'm a huge Alex Cora fan. I would, you want to talk about the blame pie. I think it's more on Breslow. I think he's done a terrible job. I thought this offseason was terrible. So I'm not going to blame Alex Cora for the way this team is. And you can kind of see him dropping hints. You're going back and you're listening to what he has said in spring trading about the way the roster was built, the job he's had to do to get this team where it is. So it has not been easy. And I think it's on Breslow more so than Cora.
So I feel like the Red Sox are at a point right now. This is how I treat the Jets, which, sorry, Jack, to even bring them into the same thing. Like, nothing for me ever goes without mentioning the owner at this point. Like, I never blame a coach or a general manager at this point without saying the owner just sucks now and they can't overcome it. I think John Henry's reached that level.
I would agree, but I honestly don't really put a lot of blame in John Henry in this situation. I'll be honest with you. To me, I've had a lot of time to unpack. There's not a lot, but enough to kind of formulate the opinion that this team is better than a 10-17 team. Mm-hmm. First of all, I'll just say that the roster, and I've been talking to you guys since the beginning of the season, I truly believe it's one of the worst constructed rosters in the history of the franchise and the sport. You have 5 players that are deserving to play every single day, and you can't get them all in. And that includes your 22-year-old superstar who you just signed to a 7-year extension, supposed to be the face of your franchise. He has to play every day. He hasn't been. So that's first. But once again, all of those factors aside, this team is not a 10-17 ball club. They have 2 frontline starters at the front of their rotation. They have a guy in Wilson Contreras who they signed in the offseason that hit 30 home runs last year. They have blooming stars in Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu, and other guys that have really meshed together a roster that should be a lot better than 7 games under 500 in the middle of April. So saying that, I think that there is a decent amount of blame that goes to Alex Cora here in not getting enough out of his guys. And yeah, of course, it's not a well put together roster, but it's certainly not worthy of 10-17 in late April.
I think the Bregman stuff for me is where I think I lose hope in the front office, and that's where the blame goes because you could have used another bat. We're not denying that. And I think the leadership that he brought and the chemistry that he did have with Alex Cora, that's a big miss. And where do you put that? Is that on Breslow? Is it on Breslow and the owner for not giving him the no trade clause or going an extra $5 to $10 million to make sure he stayed? Where does the blame go for that move?
Well, Bregman basically wanted to come back to the Red Sox this offseason. He told them that he was going to come back to them with any offer that he did have. And I just think that this shows a lack of awareness of the market on the Red Sox front office. Once again, this is not without blame to Craig Breslow. who got Alex Bregman's offer that he said he had from a mystery team who ended up being the Chicago Cubs. And he said, I have this. And the Red Sox were like, yeah, right. Sure you do. They called his bluff, and it wasn't a bluff. And he went and signed with the Cubs. And that no trade clause is obviously an organizational philosophy, despite what Sam Kennedy says. It is. And that's because they are willing to trade cornerstone pieces of their franchise. You've seen it. And it's another day where you sit back and you wonder, what are they doing? There is so much dysfunction at the top of this organization. Yes, John Henry is part of it, but I really think it was an immediate disconnect between Breslow and Cora. And I think there's a lot of backstabbing going on in that front office. And I think that there's a lot of differing opinions and players being told different things. You remember Roman Anthony and Jim Rice last spring, that whole debacle. And there's certainly, there's going to be pieces coming out in the next week and talking about how bad the Red Sox are. And I'm sure that they'll fire back with something about Cora that is true or not. But right now, I mean, you can't help but say this is one of the worst ran organizations in the sport. And it's truly a travesty.
I had another night of thinking, where did the Red Sox go wrong along the way? What were the turning points?
Yeah.
And the first thing everybody's always going to come back to, the Mookie Betts trade is just one of the worst moves of the last 10, 20 years. The guy has gone on to win 3 championships with the Dodgers. He was the franchise player. He should have never wore another uniform. Whatever the semantics were of that deal at the time, and whatever we want to go back and say happened and it maybe had to happen, still, that just put this team on this entire track of just a totally negative path. But then what Mike was saying is you follow that up a few years later, the Bregman thing, but also a year ago today, this team has Devers still putting up good numbers and Bregman still having a good career. And a year later, they have nothing to show for losing both of them. And are we not all in agreement that getting the Devers contract off the books was a total win just in general? To get that done at the minimum was great. But you have nothing to show for trading Mookie Betts, for trading Rafael Devers, and for letting Alex Bregman walk out the door.
And you guys know who was part of that deal that they ended up flipping for Dustin May, James Tibbs, who's off to one of the greatest starts in AAA. And I just think that this shows just how not ready Craig Breslow was for this position. If you remember, after they fired Chaim Bloom in September 23, there were a lot of targets for the Red Sox for the CBO position, and basically none of them wanted the job. And they finally settled on Craig Breslow, who was a pitching guru with the Cubs. And, he was brought in alongside Andrew Bailey to try to fix this rotation and fix the farm as well, while also transitioning back to a period of winning. And while they've sort of done a little bit of that, they got to the playoffs a year ago. I just feel like it's been a half-hearted effort the entire time. And this gets you to John Henry, and his willingness or unwillingness to spend money in the right places is certainly a factor in this. And I also think that when John Henry gives the allotted money that Craig Breslow is allowed to spend in an offseason, I just don't think Craig spent it in the right place. I mean, what justifies pivoting from Alex Bregman immediately to Ranger Suarez? And Suarez is a great pitcher and a fantastic number 2 behind Crochet, but that wasn't a need at all. And you don't fix the outfield problem in the offseason. You have way too many starting pitchers for, way too many cooks in the kitchen in that aspect. They just brought up Peyton Tolley, who, is Kevin can see, should have been in the starting rotation all along. It just makes no sense. Sometimes what they do is just completely ass backwards, and it culminates with another day of Red Sox fans scratching their head and saying, what now?
Since they've won the World Series, they've been doing things ass backwards in 2018. Since that moment, and Cora was obviously there, and Cora's been here, besides the year he was suspended, he's been part of an era of Red Sox baseball that has not made sense, but it has had some deep playoff runs. It has had some success. Now they've missed the playoffs in a couple of those years as well, but Cora, through everything, through the mismanagement by the front office since he's been here, besides Dave Dombrowski, he's kind of survived this and weathered it and been the one consistent voice and the one consistent leader of this organization, dealing with everything with Henry from Heimblum to now Breslow.
Yeah. And Mike, remember that they had to let him go after his suspension following the 2019 season. They brought him back. That shows you how much trust they had in him. And he immediately brought a team that went from last to Game 6 of the ALCS in 2021. But, with Cora, it's been a lot of lip service and not a lot of action. He's always prided himself on good defense and strong attention to detail. But there has been a lack of that. How many plays can you count in the last 5 years that you send to a group chat and say, look at what dumb thing the Red Sox just did?
Mm-hmm.
I
will say too, I thought that just from a Yankees perspective, like this past week, I've never seen a Red Sox team care less about that series. They felt so checked out and like they completely bailed on their manager.
Yeah. And to me, it goes back to, Cora and his relationship with players. He's always been thought of as a player's manager, but you start to begin to wonder, what are the conversations behind closed doors? Hey, Warren. What are the conversations behind closed doors been like with, say, Roman Anthony? I have to wonder, and this is obviously, it's not an informed opinion whatsoever, but it's obviously a question. Mm-hmm. What is Roman Anthony's relationship like with Alex Cora? Because I will tell you one thing, the one justification for firing Alex Cora, if Roman Anthony did not see eye to eye with him, whether for a good reason or not, you have to fire Alex Cora.
Yeah.
Roman Anthony is significantly more important to the next 8 years of the franchise than Alex Cora is. And, I'm sure there'll be leaks and things that come out over the next couple of days and weeks that are really bad for the Red Sox, and they'll have to handle that PR by trying to fight back in ways. But it's a team that should not be 10-17 at this point. And you have to put blame on Cora for that. It is a team that was not well constructed, but certainly not a last place team in a year that they should be competing for a World Series. And Kevin, the last thing I'll say on this topic is this. Alex Cora has had some very candid comments over the last couple of days following losses and, obviously the sweep at Fenway Park by the New York Yankees, which is never acceptable to, despite what the team looks like, especially one that is capable of more than this. He said, and I'm not quoting, but he said after the Thursday game, I have a lot of kids that I'm still trying to teach the game of baseball to. And I think without saying it out loud, he said, yeah, well, you didn't sign the player that brought Roman Anthony up and taught him how to be a big leaguer. And these guys like Jarren Duran, who have had problems on and off the field at times. Alex Bregman was so much more important to the baseball team last year than people realize. I think it's been talked about, but his relationship with Roman Anthony, he's always on the top step of the dugout with him. I thought as soon as Bregman signed with the Cubs in January, this season did not have the same feel. It did not feel like they had a leader, a man in the clubhouse, a guy that's been there, done that. And for that, I think that was really the first domino to fall to get us to where we are this morning.
Yeah, I agree. And right after that happened, Mike came on our prediction show and said that they're going to win the American League and go to the World Series. So we're all in the same boat. We all felt the same way the whole offseason.
Yeah.
Jack, thanks for jumping on with us, man.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good show.
Thanks.
Later, Jack.
All right, Mike. Just the two of us now.
I can't believe that I had this team in the World Series. Like, I still have this team in the World Series. I'll give you a do-over on the Giants making the playoffs if you give me a do-over on the...
Yeah, I need a do-over on the Oakland A's too, Sacramento A's.
And the A's. I mean, I probably wouldn't pick the Yankees to make the World Series. I'm not going to do that, but,
Yeah, well, I did, so I'm still rolling with the best team. What do you think is next for the Sox here? I mean, they clean house in the managerial department. His staff goes with him. I don't even know what they do next because they're at that point. I know I just said it. but they're like in a Jets realm for me right now. And there's a bunch of teams in this realm. It's not just like I'm saying the Red Sox are the worst team in baseball, but I don't even care what they do next because Cora was the last strand of like winning baseball that I thought they had. And now that he's gone, I just have no hope for them.
It's just weird to think about them without him there. So I don't know what's next. I don't think this team is going to go on a run. I don't think that a new voice in here is going to change things. They are a poorly constructed team. I feel the same way about them that I would, any other team that fires their manager that looked like this. So I think I like Cora. I think he's going to be highly coveted in the offseason by many, many teams and big market teams. And for the Red Sox here, I think Breslow's next at some point, probably in the offseason. You can't really fire the general manager right now if you're in their shoes, but I do think Breslow's next. And I think John Henry, Jack doesn't put too much blame on John Henry. I'm with you. He has to look himself in the mirror and say, what am I about? You can't be, he's half pregnant. Yeah. He's half pregnant with the analytics. He's half pregnant with wanting to spend money. We know he has the money. You could do both. The Yankees do a great job of doing both. The Dodgers do a great job of doing both. Not going to say the Mets do a great job of doing both because they got some bad contracts on that team. But it's possible to do both.
Yeah. They don't. And I want to ask you, is there a possible Mets are 20 games under 500 in 6 weeks and Mendoza gets swapped out for Cora before the trade deadline?
I would love it. And you know what? It's not even that it would save this season. It's that you lock him up. You lock him up now. If he wants a job to finish the year, you lock him up now. Yeah, no, Beltran would still be like, in terms of like prediction, I think it'll be Beltran. I'm going to stick to it. But Cora, if we make it through the season with Mendoza and then he gets canned, Cora is easily number one in the offseason. Like, he's the guy I want.
The 3 targets that I'd be looking at with Cora are Mets, Phillies, Astros.
Yep.
And the Astros reunion actually makes the most sense to me because I think he's probably really comfortable with the ownership group and everyone that's still associated there. And they continue to just try to cling to that core. And they'll probably find some way to say, Cora can help us restore what we had here with these players, help get Altuve back to form, which it's just over it. They've just moved past it.
They're 10-18. Joe Espada's still there. You're not sitting here saying, oh, we have to keep Joe Espada. I mean, outside of Jordan, who's having an unbelievable season. And Walker actually bounced back. Christian Walker, which looked like a terrible signing, has actually played well. They are a mess. That if you're going to rank the teams that make the most sense for him in terms of connections, it's Astros, Phillies, then Mets. I don't know if there's any connection with the Mets besides Beltran. But yeah, Astros relationship with the ownership, Dombrowski relationship if he's still there with Philadelphia, and then you go down to the Mets.
All right, let's pivot over. Yankees 8-game win streak, because we just talked about the Astros. One of your only takes that I know for sure that you were correct on before the season, I'm not saying there weren't a handful, but just out of the ones I remember, you told me, you said, and you laughed when you said it, go look at the Astros pitching staff. They're horrible, and they can't pitch at all. And the Yankees have this 8-game win streak against the Royals, Red Sox, and Astros, and it's going to lead us into a greater conversation today. The American League sucks. Worse than the 2024 Yankees run to the World Series with Soto. This is just a way worse league.
It's really bad right now. There's no doubt about it, but the Yankees are also just that much better than everybody else in this league. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, the division's tough. I mean, the Rays, the Rays are always annoying. The Orioles have improved. They're not playing like it, but they've improved. The Blue Jays have been bad defensively. Every way you could get, they've been bad. But it's not a bad division. No. And they are that much better than everybody else. That's the way I view it. I'm not looking at the rest of the league because you're right. It's terrible. They are going to walk away with this. I mean, is this going to be a 100-win team that, like, there's no doubt, there's no discussion?
I'm a little worried about them still, just because I think that there's going to come a point in the year where either Baltimore or Toronto get really hot in the summer and the Yankees will hit their lull again. They're already through the first 4 weeks incredibly up and down. I mean, it's like 8 or 9 game win streak and then swept by Tampa, really struggled to win games the second or third week of the season, and now right back to just dominating. So I'm still feeling them out a little bit, but I do think, I mean, we're beating a dead horse at this point in Yankee land, but they're a couple weeks away from getting Cole and Rodon back. And it's just like the reinforcements for them are going to be incredible. And I don't even think that their best hitters have really gotten going yet. Like Judge has had a lot of home runs. He's had a lot of moments. I don't think he's been himself yet.
229.
Yeah, Bellinger could be hitting a lot better, a lot more consistent. Jazz finally started to get going this week against these awful pitching staffs. They do just feel a lot better. And this was my problem going into the season with the rest of the teams. Like the roster of the Yankees, if they get a little bit from the bottom of the order, just feels so much better. And they have been getting a little bit from the bottom of the order the last 2 weeks.
It's been better 100%. And this is actually a very interesting comment here about Volpe and, just taking a look at everybody's numbers right now in the Yankees. Caballero is hitting a little bit.
Yeah. And Caballero does things in the margins that I think he's just way better at Volpe out. Like when he gets on, he got thrown out twice last night, but he steals so many bases, Caballero, and just at a more effective rate than Volpe. The at-bats feel a little better than Volpe. I don't think he's a really quality everyday starter still. Like I think his best role is elite bench weapon.
Yeah.
And you play him still for 110, 120 games, you start him, but you want him off the bench in those playoff games and in those big games down the stretch as the pinch runner. But he's hitting too well right now to even consider bringing Volpe up and playing him. And, Mike, I mean, Volpe stinks. I hate to say it, but he just is not good.
There's enough evidence to say you're really going to try this out again.
Yeah, and I think there's mostly the safest thing I can say about Volpe is he needs a change of scenery. I mean, it just for both parties, I don't think you can go down that road again. And at some point, they're going to this season, but I don't think you really should.
But also, if Caballero was completely stinking it up, he was an automatic out, then it's like, okay, let's see what we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring him up. And, all right, he's healthy this year. Let's see what it looks like in the majors. He's probably down on himself right now, still in the minor leagues, not playing well. Let's see what he has in the majors, but there's really no point. Why change anything up? There's no reason to change anything up right now. This pitching staff is great, though. I mean,
pitching staff's great.
It is. Fried's been great again. Schlittler has been unbelievable. Ryan Weathers has given you some really quality outings.
Yep.
Will Warren has taken those next steps that you hope to see last season. You really just have questions with Heel right now. And
yeah, who doesn't even factor into your long-term?
You're not even worried about it.
Yeah, because I think once Rodon and Cole come back, I'd like to see them try to 6-man rotation it for a little while.
Yeah.
Don't really rush either of those two guys into too many innings. Don't make Fried pitch extra innings this year because their obvious path to the World Series for a team who doesn't really hit in the playoffs that well is pitching. I mean, they have the best pitching staff in baseball when everybody's healthy. That's their obvious path. I wouldn't really go overboard in the regular season with these guys. Make sure you get Cole and Rodon right. The bullpen's not that good, I don't think. I really don't trust their bullpen. Bednar's shaky. Good. He's like a good setup man to me. I trust him to maybe give you the 8th inning down the stretch. That's their early trade deadline target. It's got to be going after a top bullpen pitcher. They're running Hedrick into the ground already. He's pitched 15 games. He's been their best guy. And then Doval is way too shaky to trust. Bullpen's the big question mark for me right now with the Yankees.
It is, but I like that it's kind of this issue early that you could get ahead of it.
Yeah, and they're winning with it right now.
And you're winning with it where, all right, we know this is an issue and there's things that Cashman can try. We know that they have this reputation of being good with finding arms that you never heard of. So you give them a couple of months here to try and find one of those guys. But then when you get to the deadline, you know what you need. You know what you need to be aggressive on. And as of right now, as of April 26th, there's really nothing else you're sitting here saying, maybe you want a third baseman. Okay. But how many of those are available come trade deadline time? Not many. So you're really looking at one massive need. It's your bullpen, and you know what it is early.
And I'll tell you what, I've been waiting for us to do a show for me to really get into this. Ahmed Rosario looks really, really quality at third base right now. I'm not going to go overboard and say that they have a complete stud and just one of those late bloomer years that he's going to rake, but he feels like a steady 770 OPS plus, and he's playing way better defense. Right now his OPS is all the way up at 830, which won't stay because he just strikes out way too much, and he just gives you some, horrible at-bats every once in a while. But how many home runs does he have right now? 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. He's got 15 hits in 20 games. He's been good for them. And McMahon's starting to hit a little bit the last week or two. I think that they've taken a little bit of pressure off of each other, being able to platoon that spot instead of going out every day with the pressure on them. Like, you have to just perform every single night, because the two of them are actually playing really well the last 2 weeks.
Look at you on the Ahmed Rosario train. You got him. Let's go. You got the best of Ahmed Rosario.
And I saw Boone say it 2 weeks ago, and I've kind of been obsessed with it every time he gives me a good at-bat, where he said he thinks Ahmed's a late bloomer. And they got him changing a bunch of stuff the last year when they had him. And he's like, I think he's turning a corner late in his career. And I'm like, it kind of looks like it, I liked him as your bench bat who plays a third of the games. But now I'm saying it's got to be closer to an even split at third.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, if you told me you're running him out there every night, you're going to say, okay, this is going to end. He's not going to sustain this. The numbers are going to dip down, but you get McMahon in there a few times a week as well, and this is a true platoon. I'm in, and I think that it could work, and I think the production will be where you kind of need it to be. Again, maybe not at an 840 OPS clip, but maybe at a 750, 780 OPS clip, which I think you would sign for right now.
Like, compare his season to Lindor. That trade sucks for you guys. No, I'm kidding.
Right. It is a much better season than Lindor, though, right now.
But it went from, I'd like to see these guys lefty-righty split, to Rosario's got to get a lot of games against righties, too. It's just one of those things. You can't just give him the once every fifth day against lefties. He's got to be going against right-handers also throughout the week. So I'm happy with where they are right now. Safe to say that. I think that they're still waiting for Judge to really roll, and once he does, they're going to be tough to beat. But they didn't do it last year. They got to do it this year. Like, you got to build a huge cushion before the All-Star break in this division while these other teams are struggling. Don't let them hang around and keep your foot on the gas all year, because the team is too good to get caught up in a wild card round again and to not be the 1 seed in the AL. This
year would be embarrassing if they're not the 1 seed in the American League.
It would be.
Has to be. This is their 100 win season. This is the year they run away with it, and you have no question whatsoever about this team.
Like, right now, the AL West, you got the A's in first in a division where everybody's separated. The first 4 teams are separated by 2.5 games. Who comes away with that? You got to guess Seattle, who's 13-15, is going to turn it around and finish better than the A's or the Rangers, right? But either way, and then the next division, my Guardians, they're sitting at 15-13. The Tigers are second, 14-14. That's your Tigers are in second. This league is, outside of the East, it's awful. I would still wager that the 4 or maybe 5 best teams in the American League are in the East.
I would say that.
I don't think it's crazy to think over 162 the Red Sox might be the 5th best team in the AL.
And maybe Seattle turns this around. Like that would be my hope.
And maybe Detroit. Detroit should still give you a better year, but I don't know.
They're going to win the division, but how good are they actually? They're really not this great team. No. Offensively, they're not great. Yeah, you love.
Rubal's already looking towards the Mets.
Right, he's already looking at pitching in Queens, so it's like it's done. It's done over there.
Yeah, it's your team too.
He's going to be a Met.
Yeah, you think so?
No, actually, he's probably going to be a Dodger.
It's a Yankee. All right, I'm good on Yank stuff, really. I didn't have that much that I want to talk about. It's kind of status quo to start the year, but
just what you expect.
Just what's expected.
It's going to be a Yankee.
All right. You want to go Mets or you want to go to my Shohei Ohtani 2026 season?
I want to go to your
Theory.
Shohei Ohtani 2020. I'm very interested. I almost asked you last night. What this
Okay.
was about.
So my Shohei Ohtani 2026 theory.
Is there any way I change
this-
the screen there?
Oh, I don't know what just happened. Weird. All right. So I'm looking at his stats the other day,
Yeah, sure.
and I saw that he had this horrible week at the plate. Just miserable week. So I got a theory. I think Ohtani is going all in for the Cy Young this year. Like, I've won every other award. I don't even care about my offense this year. He'll still hit. But I want to win the Cy Young. Because right now he's the best starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's got a .3 ERA. In 4 starts, he's given up 1 run. I mean, this is just, and when you're watching him, it's just a different level of dominance than we've ever seen from him, where he usually feels like a 2 or a 3. It feels like he ramped it up this offseason to make sure that he can go all in on the pitching aspect of his game. Because if you're in his position, why wouldn't you want to try to at least one time, you know you have the stuff for it, go get that accolade and say, I'm the only player to ever win MVPs and Cy Youngs?
Do you know what his ERA plus is?
No.
You know, the average is 100, right?
Yeah.
This is 1,075. And again, he's pitched 24 innings. You know, they're not pushing him. He's literally pitching every 6th day. Like, he pitches once a week like they do in Japan. But yeah, it's pretty incredible what he's been able to do. It's a good point. I just don't think he would give up. Like, I don't think it would be this conscious effort to say, all right, and I know you're not saying this, but like, yeah, could his pitching be better than his offense this year? Yes, and he's making that effort. But I don't think we're going to sit here and say, and you said this, that his offense really took a massive hit.
Yeah, I mean, he's off to a slow start and he's got an 800 OPS.
Yeah, he'll have a 900 OPS. He'll hit 40 home runs. And then if he's first or second in Cy Young, he's still going to win the MVP.
Yeah, I think that this is – so I've said this a lot about Travis Hunter. When you prioritize 2 things in the sport, 2 different positions, 2 sides of the ball, you're allocating 50% of your practice time to something else, while a guy like Paul Skeens is giving 100% of his practice time to pitching. I have a feeling Ohtani shifted it this year and is doing way less in the offseason offensively and saying, I feel comfortable that I can go in and hit at a really high level regardless. You know, if I shift this 50-50 split to, say, 75-25 in the offseason, I want to dominate on the mound this year. That's my personal goal. This is how I get there. I think that's what he decided to change up in his mindset and approach in the offseason. Let me go win a Cy Young.
But let's think about this. There's been a season where I think he may have done this. Look at 2022. He had 34 home runs, 95 RPIs. His OPS was 875. He had 273 that year. But he was 4th in Cy Young. That's the highest he ever finished in Cy Young voting. Maybe that was the season. Maybe this is the season we're looking at here. He came at 2nd in MVP. Judge won it that year. But you don't have a Judge in this league right now that's going to compete with you for that MVP if you had that offensive season, but finished 1st or 2nd in Cy Young voting. So I think we haven't seen him fully have to commit to both in a while. Yeah. Probably since 2022. He got hurt in 23.
And yeah, the Dodgers have just let him hit, and they haven't needed him to pitch, and there hasn't been any pressure on him. We saw him do it a bit last year, but yeah, you're right. Since he joined the Dodgers, there's been no reason for him to be a 2-way player, and he's taken that step back on the quest of winning titles.
So now, in the last 3 years, all we've seen him do is just focus offense, and then rehab a little bit, rehab the arm. We don't know. We don't remember what it looks like when he's doing both and how much time he actually committed. Maybe it was always like this. Maybe it was always a 60-40, 70-30 split where his focus had to be on pitching because that's his greater risk of getting hurt. He has to be ready to go. He has to be fully committed to that so he doesn't miss time.
And I thought 2024 was the year where, since he couldn't pitch, he was 100% in on hitting, and the freaking guy goes 50-50.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, we get the comment here, but he might be the most impressive athlete that we've ever seen.
Somebody asked me the other day, a good baseball fan asked me the other day, said, is he the best player you've ever seen? I'm 25. And I said to the guy, I think he's the best player ever.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable saying that right now. And I'm a Bonds guy, and I think Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. But he's the greatest baseball player ever. And I wouldn't say he's the greatest athlete ever yet. I think he probably will be as long as he stays healthy.
LeBron.
Right. LeBron is probably still and I'm not even joking, like he's probably still the greatest athlete ever.
Look what he's doing this week.
So, but eventually, Ohtani wins a couple of more. He's going to have a few more MVPs. Yeah, Ohtani's going to be the greatest athlete to ever live.
Yeah. And there was that kind of narrative, like, I don't want to, it was always hyperbole, but people would say, he could make 12 starts in a season and he's just going to win MVP because nobody else can hit and pitch. And that's not fair at all, because I think, what was it, 2022 or 23 when he won MVP over Judge on the Angels?
23.
It was, but Judge had gotten hurt. It was 23, right?
23.
Judge has gotten hurt with the Dodgers thing in the wall, and they said, Ohtani, just because he pitches to a 4 ERA and makes 12 starts, he's going to win the MVP every time because nobody else can do that, and the voters just love that he can do both. But he's legitimately, I mean, if you signed a free agent pitcher with Shohei Ohtani's career numbers, you think you're getting a number 2. He is legitimately a stud on the mound.
Yes, he is. And even that 2022 season where Judge beats him out, right? Listen to these numbers. He had 166 innings. He struck out 219 guys. His ERA plus was 172.
Yeah.
His ERA was 2.23 that year. And he still hit 35 home runs. Now, Judge hit 62 home runs. He should have won MVP that year. I'm not going to get on them for that. But if you told me that they said, no, it's Ohtani, he had that great of a season pitching, okay, fine. But Judge ended up having a higher WAR that year somehow.
Yeah. And I want to just, this is such an boomer comment. Like, Babe Ruth was always the guy that we were told, he'd hit 50 home runs and he'd pitch. He never actually did both, really. I mean, in Boston, he sucked at hitting, and he was one of the better pitchers in the league. And with the Yankees, he never pitched more than 2 games in a season. And he'd hit 50 home runs, 60 home runs. So Ohtani's actually doing both every year, or attempting to do both every year. And has there been a season where you felt like he sucked at either? No. No,
there hasn't been. It's a good point, because there was never that season where it was elite on both ends for him. And that's what I think is a big misconception with when you're talking about Babe Ruth. And I mean, actually, in 1916, he had 323 innings, made 40 starts.
He had a 1.75 ERA.
But
I mean, this stat line is insane. 44 starts, or 44 games, 41 starts, 123, and had a 1.75 ERA with a 1 whip in 323 innings.
But Kevin, to your point, 1916, he had 136 at bats.
Yeah, and he hit 3 home runs.
So, like, he never did it at the same time at an elite level.
No.
We've never seen this before. What does this comment say?
Yeah, I agree. This is, just compared to what I was saying about Ohtani, how people say, he can only has to make a handful of starts to win MVP. It doesn't matter, because guys Clayton Kershaw used to hit. Madison Bumgarner used to hit and be decent at it.
Yeah, but you can't compare any of the pitchers that used to hit to this level.
Exactly, though, because that's why the Ohtani argument's lazy, because it's just the inverse, saying, like, he's not a good pitcher, but he just can be a top 5 in a rotation. Like, no, Madison Bumgarner could be a top 9 in a lineup. The Giants used to DH him sometimes.
Yeah.
And he still was the worst our second or third worst hitter in there. Like OHTANI is one of the 2 or 3 best pitchers, if not the best pitcher on his team. And the best hitter in baseball at the same time.
It's just incredible. Like, I think we take it for granted too, because I think a lot of fans are upset and they get annoyed with the love that he gets from the national media and, the broadcasts, whatever it is. I think it's great because we're alive for it. We get to see this. We had to hear people talk about Babe Ruth and how great it was. And I actually don't know anybody that watched Babe Ruth, but either way.
Yeah, we're at that point in time where Babe Ruth retired almost 100 years ago. So
you hear these stories. Also, I'm with Craig Carton. I believe that there's a chance that it was fake.
What?
That he was
Babe
a
Ruth?
myth. That he's just a myth.
Oh, you don't think Babe Ruth is a real person?
Yeah, like maybe.
The photos and videos are no good.
I have to say this. If there was, I've wanted to make this video, a little selfie video. If there was one guy I could see live, like in their prime, it would be Babe Ruth. That's the one athlete I would want to see live in their prime. Who is it for you?
And then you, with the knowledge now, would be sitting there like, this guy sucks. This game's awful.
Well, yeah, because I'm like, I got to see this guy OHTANI. Looks like a Greek god, and he's sprinting around the bases. He's hitting and pitching in the same game. He's had 3 home runs.
If I could watch one athlete live, who would it be? That's a great question.
Besides LeBron, the obvious answer.
Besides LeBron, who I've never seen live. Probably Jordan. It would probably be Jordan. Like, I'd want to see what a home Bulls playoff game with him felt like.
Right. It makes sense. You want to see the second best player.
I want to see what the hype's about. I've seen the King now for so long. Could it even come close to the amount of aura we feel when we watch him? I'd watch the game. I'd be like, wow, they've shot 4 3-pointers. It's the fourth quarter. This game sucks. These guys are awful. Jordan can't shoot.
Can I do a LeBron James podcast, do you think?
No.
Like, just a straight LeBron pod?
I mean, like, what do you watch? Like 20 games a year?
I think I can produce 100 episodes of them.
Just absolutely ridiculous. How you feel about the Mets right now? You going to 2 games today, right?
Yeah, I get to go to 2 baseball games today. Win both of them today. I mean, get to see McClain for the first one, which is nice. So hopefully you win that, and then Senga could go more than 3 innings today without giving up 8 runs. And you see if you have a chance. But you'll see Manaea today when Senga ultimately fails and can't get out of the 4th. And then you see where it goes.
Is that's the first game or the second game?
McClain is the first game.
McClain's the first, right? Okay. So then you got to go to the first, and you could bail on the second.
That's what I'm really happy about, that they lined it up this way, because I was a little worried. Because if it was McClain in the second and they just get crushed in the first, like, oh my God, I feel obligated to stay for the McClain start.
Just because we were talking about it a minute ago and I just saw it, Anthony Volpe will be joining the Yankees this week.
Oh, okay. So he's ready to go.
Between Wednesday and Thursday, he will be joining the Yankees.
So who goes down?
I think they have an extra bullpen arm they don't use.
Okay.
What's his name? I don't even know what his name is. And Stanton just got hurt, so I don't know if that's just the corresponding.
Okay.
It could be in the middle of the week. Hate that. Don't have to talk about it right now because I already said my thoughts.
Yeah.
So Mets, I have this weird feeling still that the Mets could turn it around. It's just a Mets thing to do. Be the worst team ever, but then they kind of seem to rewrite bad history a little bit.
Yeah, they're good at that.
But not ideal to try to do it.
I think a lot of their issues that we were worried about coming into the year, like the bullpen's kind of a problem because Devin Williams sucks. But you look at their rotation, like the top 3 is very good. Like Spain is awesome, and Clay Holmes has been very good. You can argue actually that Clay's been a little bit better.
Yeah, Clay, I think, has been the best guy.
So, and then Freddie, we're talking about Freddie as their 3 right now. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So the issues obviously are with the other guys in rotation. Senga, they brought up Scott, who didn't give up a hit, but walked 4 and hit 1 in 2 innings, not even 2 innings of work. So he's like the top 3 in the rotation feel good about. Bullpen's a problem. They need to get going offensively, but they're without Lindor for a little bit now. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem here.
Well, you got to get Bichette going here. That's the biggest. If I got to key in on one guy,
Yeah.
because you bring in a player who you need to have at least a 730 OPS to just tread water with, and he's got a 582. Just
Got to be better.
A miserable start, and his whole contract outlook after 4 weeks of just overreacting is very curious because he gets this 1 year prove it deal that guys have been doing great on, but with those options, almost every scenario sees the guy opt out after the first year for more money. Even Bregman, who didn't have a stellar year last year, but a really strong one, opts out, gets the contract he wants from Chicago. Bichette is trending terribly right now when it comes to trying to get a long-term deal anywhere.
Right. Nobody's going to give him that long-term deal right now. He's opting back in, especially with the lockout looming. So hopefully it changes. You want him, obviously, to have that kind of year where he says, I'm opting out. I think he will. I think he's starting to hit the ball better. Had a big double Thursday night to clear the bases and give them the win.
Mm-hmm.
He, when I watch him, he's hitting into bad luck. He's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting the ball right at people at times. I think this is going to change. My concern level with him is not as high as others. Wasn't as high, even with Lindor here. And the way he was producing offensively, yeah. I feel good about Bichette that he's going to turn this around.
Let's talk about the Stearns group. Polanco sucks. Bichette so far sucks.
Yeah.
Robert getting a little more than you thought early, but feels like he's going to come down to earth overall and be another sub 700 OPS season. Semien stinks. I really just am so disappointed that we both thought this team was going to be better than they are.
Yeah, I feel duped. I feel like you got catfished a little bit.
Yeah, I do too. Because it's the same thing I said to you last week. They just have too many good players with Soto and Lindor healthy to be this bad. But now I'm sitting here saying, is it possible that Soto and Lindor, they're only two good players? Alvarez is having a nice year too, so I'll lump in Alvarez. He's been solid.
No. Well, think about it. Polanco's a guy that's been up and down for the last 5 to 6 years.
And Bichette's had those outlier years that have just been duds.
Yeah, there was no guarantee that Polanco was going to come in here and be this home run kind of guy. You know who I wanted for first base all offseason, by the way? I didn't want Alonso back. I had one replacement. One guy I wanted.
Yandy Diaz?
Well, two guys I wanted.
Oh.
Yandy didn't become available. I wanted Wilson Contreras.
Yep.
I thought it was a perfect, and the Sox made it, and he's having a nice year for him. I thought that was the perfect Pete Alonso replacement.
Yeah, Polanco was not a good replacement.
This is bad.
Then you do the transactions on paper, right? The amount of production they gave up with Nimmo, Alonso, McNeil combined versus what they brought in with Bichette, Robert, Semien. It actually was pretty close when I did it on this show, and it was pretty close. Also factoring in Peralta.
You know what,
though? You're not getting nearly the return you needed from Bichette early and Polanco early. They're awful.
And I know Nimmo's off to a great start, and I was the one guy that sat here and said, I like the trade.
Yep.
I'm okay with getting rid of Nimmo. I'm fine with Semien. I look at this now and I say, take away the advanced numbers, take away batting average, take away OPS. Nimmo drove in 92 guys and had 25 home runs last year. That's how I'm looking at it right now. And I should have looked at it this way in the offseason. And maybe David Stern should have viewed it that way too, because he was not able to bring in enough production in that trade or really any other move to replace it.
I was okay with the trade at the time because I was really assuming that Tucker or Bregman were coming in, and they didn't get either of them. And Bichette needs to have a career-type year to really fill out the production and make this make sense. and it doesn't. And even like McNeil for Semien as a second base swap, do you get a little better defensively? Yeah. But you are not even going to get the lackluster production McNeil gave you from Semien. And we knew that early, I think. I don't, even if you were excited about getting rid of Nimmo, I think clear minds on this show had said, I know I did, I think you agreed, we're not expecting anything offensively from Semien. Maybe he gets close to a 700 OPS. If he sits around that gold, he should be the 8th or 9th hitter in your lineup, but they have 7 guys hitting at his level.
Right. And I had said, around a 700 OPS, can you hit 15, 20 home runs? Can you drive in 60 to 70 guys? Like at the bottom of the lineup, playing good defense, you'll take that. Now, he's been hitting a little bit better, so we are ragging on him. He has been pretty good the last week or so, but either way, it's not there. Bichette, you brought up he needs a career year. I really don't think he does. Like, if he gave you the season he did last year in 139 games, like, I'm signing for that. But you have the outlier season. You have that 24 season where he was just putrid for half the season.
It's tough.
Putrid.
It's tough right now. And the division, I feel like, is flipped on its head completely right now with, what's it, Atlanta, Miami, Washington, Mets, Philly.
Yeah, Philly finally won a game last night after losing 10 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, we were there on that for Philly.
We've been on Philly being bad.
Been on Philly being awful.
Their run differential is minus 50. The Mets are minus 25.
Yeah, the Phillies are bad.
The Phillies are bad. Did you see, actually, you'll laugh at this. Let me pull it up. Did you see what hitters' numbers are against Taijuan Walker? The Phillies have released Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, they just released them the other day. No, I didn't see what it was.
All right. Let me pull it up. You're going to laugh hysterically. Just give me a minute to, like... Oh, here it is. No. Wrong tweet. Just give me a minute to, like, stall. It's really good, though. Okay. Opposing hitters versus Taijuan Walker this season. They're hitting 353 with a 417 on base and a 657 slug. That's a 1,074 OPS. Joe DiMaggio, the year he hit 56, he hit 56 games in a row. 357, a 440 on base, a 643 OPS, and a 1083 slug. So basically, hitters this year are Joe DiMaggio in the season in which he hit in 56 games in a row.
That is crazy. I can't even believe they were still holding on to him.
I know.
He's been bad for a while.
They needed somebody to eat innings for a little bit here. They're getting Wheeler back pretty early here.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be back till easily after the All-Star break.
Thoracic outlet. They must have some nice innovations in that surgery.
Yeah. They're done. They're screwed. How about the NL Central standings?
Yeah, what the hell's going on here?
Brewers are in last, but it's the only division in baseball where every team's 500 or better.
They're 4.5 games out, though. They're not really in last. And the Cardinals are going to stink eventually, so.
I think that they got to be better than the Pirates, too, no?
Yeah, they're better than the Pirates.
Reds are a powerhouse.
Reds
are a wagon.
They got a +6 run differential.
Reds are a wagon, dude.
They're terrible.
Cubs look good. They look like they're poised to win that division early.
Yeah, I'm in on the Cubs this year. Nico Horner is a very good player.
He's a really good player. I wanted him last year. There was, you know how Yankee fans would create trade rumors out of thin air? He was one of those guys, and I thought this would be a really nice add to your infield. Always been a big fan of his.
For a little bit, he was always this great defender. We knew that, but like kind of like slap hitter, will hit for a high average, but nothing else. And now, like everything is starting to really come together. And he's still an unbelievable defender. And you cannot strike him out. He's impossible to strike out, which I absolutely love.
He's a really good hitter. And then PCA this year has had a terrible start.
He stinks.
Back to where we had said PCA, you know, this is who he is. Last year, the outlier year, you could say.
Yeah. Bad contract. I can't believe they paid him already.
Yeah, I know. Good team, though. Good team. And they're not even hitting that well yet. So
Michael Busch has been bad to start the year, too. He finally
Bregman hasn't done much. Dansby is having his usual like mid 700 OPS season, a little higher. And Ian Happ's having a really nice year.
Love Ian Happ. He's on the fantasy team. Love him.
There you go.
It's Seiya's come back from injury and been very, very good.
How strongly do you feel about the Braves to start this season?
They're very good. They're a pitcher injury away from everything falling apart, which scares the hell out of me with the way they've been. But Drake Baldwin's becoming a superstar. Olsen's been great. Even Albies. I mean, you never expected this resurgence from Albies. He's had it.
Was that sarcastic?
No, like Albies had been bad for so many years where the numbers look.
Oh my God, Albies. I don't know why I thought you were talking about Acuna, and I was going to say he's not even having a nice year. I'm shot. Albies, yeah, you never expected Albies to be doing this again. I thought that was another guy Yankees fans had been throwing in that as an infield move, and I was like, I actually have no interest.
And Michael Harris, you can make the argument, is the MVP of this team.
Yeah, that's one of my guys. That he was the guy this year, along with Austin Riley, who has not bounced back yet.
No,
that I was saying there's no way that they just don't hit those two guys. Like, Harris is too good of a hitter to not get going again. And
always
last year was one of those seasons that we see sometimes in baseball where every guy was just on their down year, and Harris looks really good.
Now, they have a couple of holes, like Yastrzemski in left field's a hole. Shortstop's kind of a hole. And Dom Smith's your DH. Do you expect him to hit 373 with a 945 OPS the rest of the year?
I think as a Mets fan, you should.
As a Mets fan, yes.
What else would you expect?
No, I don't expect it.
Didn't he do this with the Red Sox for a minute?
I thought he did with the Yankees in spring.
It might have been the Yankees. It was spring training Yankees, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because then they DFA'd him maybe 6
I know
weeks
that's really what cares, but what you guys care about.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we win titles.
Right. Bullpen's good, though. The bullpen is good. But again, Ronaldo Lopez has been okay. Elder, all right, coming into his own. Sale goes down.
Yeah.
You're done. You're cooked.
I don't think they are. And I think this division's going to be so bad.
No, the Mets are going to be back in it soon.
This division stinks. You guys don't finish in second place. Disgrace.
Just got to win 2 today. I don't
even hate
today. I'm focused on right now today.
Cora was winning 1 today.
No, you got to win 2 today.
Start by winning 1 and then focus on the next one.
Win 1. Dude, if they win 1, they lose the series to the Rockies at home.
Yes, but I'm just saying win the 1 first. You are not in a position with the baseball gods to bargain for 2 wins in 1 day.
Okay.
Right now, you're getting 2 a week.
Okay, win 1. Win the first one today. You're right. Win
your McLean game, and then house money Sango with the baseball gods against G's Rocks.
He just texted me, actually.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on in the world of baseball on this little Burrows reunion?
I'm good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Me too.
Good stuff. Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow on Instagram and TikTok at BTO Media. You can check out all the short form stuff there, not just baseball. Burrow's going to be coming back to you every week, so we took a little hiatus. Perfect time to do it right as baseball season started, and then we'll be full go the rest of the season. So thanks again for watching, and we will catch you next week.